Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Daddy Daughter Movie Night. We never have guests on the show. I'm not an interviewer, but we are very lucky today to have writer-director Anthony Lucero with us, who is a feature filmmaker. He has a current film out called Paper Bag Plan, which we'll get into. He also made a film prior to this called East Side Sushi, which you might have seen. It's been all over the place. I think I even saw it on a plane once. And it was on Netflix for a while, too. That's about a young Latina mom breaking cultural barriers to become a sushi chef. This film, Paper Bag Plan, involves an older dad named Oscar who gets a cancer diagnosis and realizes that he might not be around for his son, Billy, much longer. So he decides he needs to get Billy ready to be as self-sufficient as possible, starting with a job bagging groceries at the local market. So the title, Paper Bag Plan. Anthony, welcome.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
You have this film is starting to stream tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, April 29th, yeah. Well, it's not everybody asks, when's it going to be on Netflix? It may never be on Netflix. So yeah, you will have to rent or buy it. But it's on the major platforms, Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah, YouTube, iTunes.
Well, we hope everyone gets a chance to see it. I gave a little short capsule description of it, but tell me about the conception of the film and what made you want to tell this story.
So, you could kind of say the story's been in progress for decades. My brother was disabled, both cognitively and physically. So he couldn't speak, he couldn't walk. So the one thing he could do is he could open his mouth when my mom would put a spoonful of pureed turkey or chicken up to his mouth. He could open his mouth, and that was it. That's kind of what Eddie did.
Right.
So he was a quiet brother, but he was a great companion for my mom. And so my dad died at a very young age, and so it was my mom who cared for him and loved him, and just they would sit and watch TV together, and she'd lift him out of that wheelchair down the hall into the shower, bathe him. Up until her late 70s, she was still doing this and still strong and still picking him up. Yeah, just out of that wheelchair, out of the bed. And she would do it multiple times a day because she didn't want Eddie to get bed sores.
Right.
The conception started there, and, we used to think, my family would start to think, oh, what's going to happen? Mom can't do this forever, and what's going to happen once mom passes or she gets too old to lift Eddie? And and then my brother, he passed, unfortunately, in around 2013. So, and he was 49. So he lived actually much longer than anyone anticipated. Doctors said he would live till 1, then 2, then 4, and he just kept beating expectations. 100% of that reason was because of the love from both of my parents. And
right.
So that's kind of the conception of the film. And I wish my brother could have bagged groceries or had a first job, but it just wasn't possible. And I just want to touch upon the second half of the inspiration for the film was my sister Margie. She was my godmother. She passed away suddenly of cancer in 2018. Yeah, it was tragic and surprising and all that. And she left behind her daughter, Sarah, who has Angelman Syndrome.
Okay.
And yeah, Angelman's it's a rare disease. It hits a very small population of children. But cognitively, she's maybe a 1-year-old. But she's now 40. So, she left behind her daughter, Sarah. And what was interesting is I was already writing Paper Bag Plan before my sister passed. And then when she died, it sort of fueled the fire of the story. It's like, okay, well, I need to finish this and tell this story of caretakers who are, not going to be around forever.
There's a film that you made about your brother and your mom's care for your brother. I think it's on your YouTube, or was on your YouTube a while back.
Yeah.
Is that still something people can watch?
It's still there. It's called Angels and Wheelchairs. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a scrappy little film. I had a little video camera back in the 2000s. Very old film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I shot for a number of years, and I just had those tapes on a shelf, and then one day I put it together. And, yeah, it's very short. It's 5 minutes. Angels and Wheelchairs. You can find it on YouTube. And
it's very touching. I watched it a while back.
Okay, yeah,
and,
thank you.
I think it's worth people checking out to inform, where you're coming from.
Yeah, maybe I could put that at the head of Paper Bag Plan or at the tail of Paper Bag Plan and have people this is the inspiration.
You mean on the DVD or something?
On the DVD, I'll have it as a supplemental. No, really, I should do that. But yeah, that was, I just wanted to capture my mom and my brother and that. Because this is the thing, this is why I wanted to do Paper Bag Plan, was because in Angels and Wheelchairs, I wanted to show these everyday heroes like my mom, these caretakers who you do not know about, but who are amazing people. And that was the idea. It's like if you go down, your city block, and you go behind somebody's door and you capture them, you'd find out this person's pretty darn amazing. And that was kind of the idea behind Angels and Wheelchairs, of just finding these heroes that you don't know about.
You sort of touch on that idea anyway a little bit in this film, because we get an inside look at the daycare center that Billy finds himself in every day. And the people there are very loving and caring, underfunded, and making the most out of what they have to work with. And that is not always public either. That, dads like Oscar, Oscar's moving appliances in this film, right? The dad?
Yeah, he's moving appliances.
So, he's off to work every day. Billy spends his day in a care facility, and then he comes home and takes care of Billy until basically they both sort of pass out for the day from exhaustion. So, it's a story that people don't get to see. It's that extra that goes into caring for someone to that degree.
Yeah, originally I was going to film. I had the green light to film in a care facility, the one that my niece Sarah is in, but it's in Oakland. So they said I could film there and do some scenes in there, and then COVID hit, and then everything was shut down. That facility wasn't open anymore, so I had to build or make a fake facility.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. It seemed as soon as the film came out and started hitting festivals, and I saw it on one of the electronic screening rooms from one of the festivals early on, but it seemed to be winning a lot of awards, but it seemed to be winning it's a huge share of audience choice awards, audience favorite awards. I think you won the audience favorite at San Fran Indie Fest, which is a big one. Why do you think that is? Why do you think audiences in particular, we know the critics love the film, but what is it that's making it so popular with audiences, even those who don't necessarily know a lot about this sort of story?
The feedback I've gotten from audience members, boy, if I could have a penny for every tear from audience members, I could make my next movie. But there's a multitude of comments. One, filmmaking feels old and fresh. It feels like something that, something from the 90s or the 80s, that type of filmmaking. There's no sex or violence in it, and it's just kind of just an old inspirational story. And I think a lot of the films that inspire me are from the 80s and 90s, back when films had 3 acts and told a clear through line, a clear story, and had a good ending. So, but I think people see that as well, and it's just refreshing to see something that feels old but new. And the other feedback is people love to be inspired, and because the world is not doing too well right now, our country's not doing very well right now, we're very divided. So I do love that I've been able to play in blue states and red states with this film, and it doesn't matter. People just love it, and they come together and share an experience together in one theater. And that has been the best. That has been the most positive, because I've been all over this. It is. I've been all over the country with this film. And it's the same response. Yeah, and it just shows that we're very similar in our needs when we all see a film like this that touches people.
It's a great reminder.
Yeah.
How about casting? I don't think people realize what a big part of, not just of the ensemble, that, casting is obviously, but a big part of the whole production, of the schedule and everything can be affected by the casting. And you cast Cole Massey, who really is a wheelchair user in real life. Did that make casting take longer, or was it more difficult? And how far were you willing to go to cast someone in a wheelchair for this role? How far were you willing? How long were you willing to wait to find the right Billy?
Yeah, I was either going to make the film or not make the film, depending on who I found.
Really?
So, it had to be an actor with a disability. That's first and foremost. I wasn't going to have somebody who's not a wheelchair user use a wheelchair. It's not authentic. I don't like that. So, I was either going to find him or not make the movie. So I did hire a casting director. That was the first person I hired for this film. Wrote the screenplay, and then I was like, well, before we put anything into motion, let's just find a casting director that specializes in actors with disabilities and see if this person exists that I wrote. So we did. Hired Russell Boast, and he gave me, I believe it was about 49 or so candidates and this was during COVID. So everybody sent in their video auditions, and wasn't it? Nope. That's not it. It's like, because first and foremost is you have to find a good actor, right? They just can't be a disabled actor. They got to be a good actor.
Yeah, and he's great in the role.
Cole is fantastic, and he's a pro, and he was the last person. And I was going to give up, but then Russell's like, I think you're going to like this one. And then we saw Cole. He was fantastic, and I thought, okay, which is kind of scary, because once I found my Billy's the character in the film. Once I found him, it was a scary thought of, well, now what do I do? I found my character. I guess we got to move forward. How do I do that?
Had you already cast Lance Kinsey at that point?
No. Everything started with Billy. And then from there, because then I would know the ethnicity of who to cast for the parent, and we would move on from there. So so once I cast Cole Massey, Lance Kinsey was the second person that I hired. And Lance I'd met on the festival circuit. We had toured around when Eastside Sushi was touring the festivals. His film, The All-Stars, was touring the festivals. I kept running into Lance, like, hey, Lance, what are you doing? How you doing? Yeah, and I just really liked him. And then I saw his film, and he was fantastic. He had never done drama before, ever. This is his first dramatic role, was Paper
Right,
Man
I was going to ask you about that, because he's well known for appearing in Police Academy movies, right?
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, what made you realize that he could do drama?
You could just see it. You could see it was between the lines, between the comedy that he's doing on screen. There are moments that, look, they're not dramatic, but you could tell he's a really good actor. He carries this film. So you just kind of know. Yeah, when you see anybody's reel, you could tell in the first 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it's like, yep, yeah or no. And Lance Kinsey, when you see him in any film, he's a good actor, right? And it's much easier to go from drama to go from comedy to is it right? Comedy to drama than drama to comedy. Well, it's anyways, he could do both incredibly well. And so he was not my first. Well, he was my first male choice, but originally it was written for a mother-son.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and because it's inspired by my mom and my sister. So, so we started doing casting for the mom, and I got rejected so much. I just got rejected. Actress after actress is like, no, for whatever reason, no, can't do this. So I was really bummed. I was like, I think nobody likes my screenplay. So, and then my wife, Kaylo, she said, well, why don't you turn it into a father-son story, because we don't see very many father-son loving stories, caring stories, a caring father. So I was like, all right, well, let's try it. And at the same time, my casting director said, there's not a whole lot of guys, especially white men working actors working in that age range. And I was like, well, I know a white guy. And that was Lance. But I picked Lance because he was an amazing actor, not just he's
Sure.
because he wasn't working. But yeah, so we did change it to a father-son.
Well, what struck me too was the chemistry that they developed. And were you ever worried about that, about bringing two actors together to play father and son who didn't know it? Because they really seem in the film to be father and son. And I mean, did they have a lot of time to develop a rapport or creating that relationship?
There was no time. We had one day of rehearsal because you have to pay SAG rehearsals, and we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? We got to pay for rehearsals? We don't have we did not have the money to do that. So
you couldn't arrange for them to just run into each other at the park or something?
Yeah, we could, but then we'd
get in trouble.
We'd get in trouble. Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm going to meet at the park. You guys want to come with your screenplay? So yeah, but we were trying to be good, and we're like, all right, we'll abide by all the rules of SAG. So we did not do any rehearsals because we couldn't pay for it. So yeah, it was pretty much the day of. We got there, and but actually the one day of rehearsal was good. We were able to go through most of the script. But yeah, but scenes that are very intimate, like the opening scene, the shower scene where Dad's scrubbing him down. I waited. That's a very intimate scene, so we pushed that down to the next week, to day 7, once they got to know each other and could. So certain scenes were crafted so that were more intimate. We pushed them down a little further, and day-to-day easier scenes, of course, are pushed up to the front of the film, to the front of production. But it's acting, man. It's great acting. They just pull it off.
Your casting, the care you took in casting really paid off, because I would never have guessed that they didn't have prep time.
It's key. It's funny. One of the PAs on set, she said, "Did you hire a real father-son?" And I was like, me and my wife turned to her like, "Oh yeah." I was like, that's a good sign. If somebody on set thinks it, then that's a good sign.
Were you a dad already when you wrote this?
Good. No, I was not a dad when I wrote it. So my son was born in 2020, just right the week before the pandemic, the shutdown started. So no, the script was already done. But what was funny is I changed it to a father-son after I had him, because I felt like I could write as a father now. So
that was my question, did anything, obviously you were a dad at some point during production then?
Yeah, I was.
So did becoming a dad, did you bring anything from the experience of becoming a dad to crafting the film? Did it change anything from your original conception of these characters?
I did. I can't specify what it was, but I think it's a lot of love that you put into the page that you don't read necessarily, but it's in there. It is definitely in there. There's a feeling in there of a father-son relationship. And it did help in the writing of it. It's like, as soon as I decided to change it to a father-son, it's like I could write in that space. I am a father, and I could do this. There's certain lines that were holdovers. I had to change quite a bit of it from the way a mother talks to a son. And so there was more lines of honey, honey, can you do this? But I did keep one in when the father says, honey, and he's talking to his son.
But that's true to life.
It is.
In the film, Oscar has this realization, right, that maybe he hasn't prepared Billy enough, up to his potential for self-sufficiency. I notice that I'm doing things for my daughter that I know she can do for herself. So do you think in general there's a sense of misunderstanding about the level of independence that parents of disabled kids have, that that they need this sort of encouragement to sort of get out of their kid's way a bit. Because I know I need to get out of my daughter's way a bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Because she'll wait for me to do everything for her if you know.
You might be a helicopter dad, you know.
I am kind of.
Yeah, that's happens. Look, my kid is 6. He could very easily put his shoes on. I put his shoes on in the morning. He could very easily. I was brushing his teeth this morning. He wants me to feed waffles. He wants to spoon feed him waffles, and I did that this morning. It's like, what is wrong? What am I doing? And that's what happens. And he's able-bodied, and so yeah, put a level of a disability on a child, and you bet that parent's going to be doing everything for them. But it's for speed. It's like, we got to go, we got to get out of here, and they just end up doing everything, putting their jacket on for them. So sometimes out of necessity, just for speed, you got to do that. But there are parents for sure that because they're like a forever child for them, the children with disabilities, and so they treat them like a forever child, and they don't let them grow, and they don't let them make mistakes, and they try to protect them too much. And trust me, I do the same thing. So that's the thing. If you want to set up your child to succeed, you have to let them experience life. You have to let them grow. You have to let them just fall and do those things.
And find their own boundaries. Yeah.
Because we're not going to be there to help them up.
Yeah.
And they have to do that on their own. It's like the Johnny Cash song, Boy Named Sue. He named his son Sue because he wasn't going to be around. And so it's like, if he got beat up enough, he'd be able to protect himself. So it's that concept.
Let me just switch to something that I saw on your, I think it might have been your Facebook. You won a Best Dad Figure Award.
Oh, yeah. Where is it? I can grab the award if you want. It's right behind me.
Well, I was just wondering that, given this is Daddy-Daughter Movie Night, right? And we talk a lot about parenting and being a dad in relation to movies. But I had no idea that there were enough movies concerning being a dad to support an entire festival.
Right.
So that was eye-opening for me.
I didn't know.
Is that where I should be looking for my next, for my movies to review?
I think so, because it's the daddying film. You know what? Just hold
Yeah, sure.
1 second, because the award just happens to be right behind me. It just happens to be. Hold on.
We did not set this up, folks.
Yeah, so this was in Washington, D.C. I didn't know there was daddying film festivals either, but this one, yeah, we just got this 2026. I don't know if you can see that. Atticus Award, Best Feature Film, Daddying Film Festival.
Daddying Film Festival. That's awesome.
Atticus.
Is that after Atticus Finch?
Atticus Finch, yeah. Nice. 2026 Men Caring Award. So I got two of them from the. So that was.
Now I have to go look at their programs and see, what films I've been missing.
Yeah, it's great. They're fantastic. And so there's these little film festivals that I didn't know existed, and of course there's disability film festivals that are. Fantastic that we love playing in. So
has the film played in a festival here? I'm in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Did I miss it somewhere, or did it just not make it here?
We did theatrical up there. I forget which theater we played in. But no film festival in Minneapolis or in Minnesota. But
you played the film in the Academy screening room.
We did.
And what was that like? What was that process? Was that, is that a step towards being nominated for an Academy Award?
It is. There are so many guidelines that you have to meet for an Oscar nomination or Oscar consideration. So it's a laundry list of you either need to play in a certain festival, or you need to win a certain award, or you need to play in a certain market. So you have to play in Los Angeles and New York and a bunch of markets theatrically. So there's a lot of guidelines for that. So we met them, and so we're like, well, why not? Why not go for it? But it's not free. You got to pay for it, and it's expensive. But we got a discount because we're an indie film. We had to show that we're an indie film and all that. So, but it's still expensive.
But did being included in the Academy screening room mean that people could vote for the film?
Yeah. So it was just for Academy members to watch it.
Oh, okay. So you were robbed, in other words.
I was robbed. Again. Second film, but
well, third's the charm.
Third one. We're gonna do it this time. But no, look, we did it. Me and my wife knew. We're like, we're not gonna get an Oscar nomination. We're not gonna. We love the song. That's it. Maybe we're like, maybe the song will get nominated, but we missed that mark. We were supposed to apply like a week prior. We missed that, so we couldn't have the song nominated. But anyways, it was just sort of like a way of saying, like, to the studios, like, we're also in the game. We are here, and we're
absolutely.
If nobody supports us, if no studio supports us, we're still going to do it, and we're still going to be in the game. Us, our little ragtag team, just me and my wife doing this together. So that was it was just a power play. It's like, here's our film with everything else that's up there.
Well done. Well
Thank
played.
you.
I have to ask you about this. We're getting toward the end of what I have, but maybe this is a silly question. Maybe I just missed a detail somewhere, but what happened to the in the title? Because when I saw the movie, it was The Paper Bag Plan. Now it's Paper Bag Plan.
Now it's Paper Bag Plan. Yeah.
Was that a marketing decision, or did it just sort of
controversy there? Yeah. No, we just kept referring to it as Paper Bag Plan. Every time we talked about it, we'd say Paper Bag Plan, and then it hadn't been released yet theatrically. Okay. So we thought, well, now's our time to change it. If we're going to change the title, we got to drop the and just have Paper Bag Plan. Why do you like it? The Paper Bag Plan better than Paper Bag Plan?
Only because it's the first time, the first thing that I ever heard about it was the Paper Bag Plan. So that stuck in my head, and I don't like change.
Yeah.
I can see why you changed it. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's the Paper Bag Plan.
It goes both ways. People call it the Paper Bag Plan still, so it's like, it's fine.
You'll still find it.
You'll still find
alphabetically, they don't use the anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So either which way.
I was wondering if there was I thought maybe some publicist pulled you aside and, twisted your arm to change it or something, but
no,
it was sort of an organic decision.
It was an organic, that's like I said, we just call it PBP, Paper Bag Plan. And it was that simple. But yeah, people.
Right, so as we get to the end, I wanted to ask you, do you have anything in the works?
We have, it's funny, Eastside Sushi 2 and 3 we would love to make. We would love to
That'd
do
be
those
awesome.
films. Yeah, it went viral a couple months ago. A fan posted this really hacked up clip of Eastside Sushi.
I saw you post that. I didn't go to see the clip, but I will now.
One clip had 28 million views.
Wow.
The second clip had 17 million views, and I was like, these two different clips from Eastside Sushi. So I was like, okay, there's still an audience for this film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of people hadn't seen it, and some people, but
it seemed to be, ubiquitous for a while. I would see it on streaming here and there, and like I said, I think someone mentioned that they saw it on their flight at one point. So it really does, hit home. This movie hits home as well. So that would be great. Are you going to get the same cast back if you do that?
For sure. Yeah, all the same cast. So they're on board to do it.
Are all the restaurants still around? Because I know a lot of them.
Coach Sushi is still around in Oakland.
Right, good. There. I want to show you. We're going to have a movie, a theater, home theater in my house one day when I get around to it. And this is waiting. I don't know if you recognize that.
Oh, yes.
You gave me this at the... For people that don't know, I was privileged to work one day on Eastside Sushi, and Anthony, such a swell guy, he gave me a one sheet, a little poster, and signed it, and I've just carried it with me from house to house. We've moved twice since then, and just thank you for your thoughtfulness. It was such an honor to be even a little tiny part of that film.
Thank you. Well, it's like you came in at the last, Tom, can you help tomorrow? And you did it. When you're doing indie films, it's like, okay, can you help out Monday and Tuesday? And then you got to get another crew for Wednesday, Thursday. So it's a hodgepodge of people helping out. And it's like, so I'm just like thankful that you and then everybody else just came out for a day to help and just get that film done. Yeah. Or else we couldn't make it.
And man, what an experience! I'm so glad to hear that you're gonna, maybe do a sequel. That's gonna be great.
So. Yeah.
And
I gotta find the finances for it, but yeah, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, Anthony, it was great seeing you again. I really appreciate you taking the time out to catch up a little bit. For those who don't know, we worked at a place together called Tippett Studio. You were visual effects editor at the time. I was moving desks around. And really, it was a special time. A lot of great people came through that place, and you were just sort of top of the pops for me as just a creative guy.
And we love Phil Tippett.
And yeah, thank you so much. I know you must be very busy with the film coming out tomorrow and so many hours.
It's coming out tomorrow, yes.
So everyone go and watch it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just I can't wait to just like get it out there to the world.
Yeah,
I'm just so happy.
And start working on the next thing. And I hope at some point maybe I can put in my day and help you make East Side Sushi too.
You better. I'm going to call you. You got to be on the cruise sheet.
Please do. I'm going to put you on the phone with my wife. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Tom.
Great talking.
Appreciate it. Okay, thanks.
Bye now.
See you.